is up, Ham Radio? Kilo Echo 8, Papa Zoo November, the Ham Radio Adventure Guy. Thanks for stopping by. Your one stop for everything Adventure Radio. It is Hump Day. That means it's time for the Hump Day Happy Hour. We got a great show tonight. We're going to be talking with Chris from Kilo Oscar 4. Go ahead. Come on, promo it. Come on.
Fox Sierra Zulu antennas.
I was like, come on, bust in here for me.
Sorry, I was looking at this stream on YouTube on the other computer, and it's crazy how much of a lag there is.
Yeah, there's a big lag. All right, before we get started, we're going to give a shout out really quick. We're going to first start with the Patreons because they are absolutely awesome. And, you know, they keep us going to all the cool POTA parks, soda summits, and everything else. And a big shout out to our two newest Patreons, Josh N5FY and David Kilo Quebec 4 EFU, our newest Patreons. And then we'll pop over to the Adventure Club. A little bit of changing going on once again. Let's see, it was the Brisket Man popping up in front of Charlie Whiskey Bravo for one move. And then Bruce with his big off-stream donation once again today to move him ahead of Steven and into the third spot. So thank you guys very much. We appreciate you. And we still got another month in this quarter. It ain't over yet, guys. All right.
Oh, yeah.
So before we start with Chris, Hayden, how you doing, bud?
Oh, I'm hanging in there.
Hanging in there.
That's about all I can say.
We haven't seen much of you. They're working you to death.
I'm getting worked to death. I got one more month of this prison sentence at work, and hopefully we'll get back to normal.
So I don't know what it was in regards to. I'm pretty sure we missed a comment in the chat or something Sunday, and then somebody toward the end of the stream said, "Rehire Hayden, rehire Hayden." Oh, no. Hayden does a great job watching that chat. That's for sure.
I'm going to West Virginia this weekend, so that's my happy place. And
all right.
If we're not hunting, maybe we'll get out and activate the park up there. I need to work on my kilo up there a little bit.
There we go.
Awesome.
All right, so we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk to Chris about his antennas and stuff, but before we do that, we're going to thank Terry for the super chat because Terry is determined. You know, he had that top spot for so long, and you know Dan just pops in there, you know, just out of the blue with the Mercedes Benz of donations, and Terry been fighting ever since. And then here comes Hayden and says, forget you, Terry. I'm shooting a 30-06 tonight. Thank you very much.
I'm gonna get my spot back on that board.
I appreciate y'all. But before we start with the antennas, Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into ham radio and stuff.
Well, I got my tech in July of 2020. I've been around ham radio my whole life. My dad's been a ham since, well, before I was born. My grandparents both had their license.
Oh, cool.
Couple aunts and uncles. Of course, I don't think any of them used it past high school after they got theirs. Three of my brothers had their license. Only one of them. He's a new tech. He just got his license right around Christmas time, and he's wanting to upgrade to general and get into POTA because he thinks it's the coolest thing ever. And I told him he's going to go completely broke, but you know he went to school to become a pastor, and now he's a pastor, so he doesn't have money as it is now. So, but dang, Dan.
and Dan just said negative Ghost Rider, Terry. It ain't gonna happen. Oh,
but
thank you very much, Lieutenant Dan, because he reminded me of Lieutenant Dan with his coverage of his DX commander in the hurricane today.
But anyway, I got my tech in 2020. Got bored with 10 meters and 6 meters because wasn't nothing going on, and took a year. But I studied and got my general, and it's been all uphill since then. Been nothing but fun.
That's the absolute truth, and you know, you're right. POTA will definitely make you go broke with the quickness. It's quite funny because I've got a really interesting video coming out tomorrow, and I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag what it is, but it is mentioned that POTA will make you broke in this video.
I'm hoping by the end of this weekend I'll have a new 891 or a 991. I don't know which one I want yet. I'm looking at the 991 because it's all band HF VHF.
Go for the FTDX10.
Hey, now you got that kind of money, man.
Well, I'm just saying. I've got a 991A, and I wouldn't mind having the FTDX10.
I was looking at the ICOM 7000, but they're a little hard to find.
Yeah, that's good radio, though.
I want something small enough I can keep in the truck that's going to replace my 706, because it's getting a little long in the tooth. It's a dang good radio. I got 2 of them, but I want something that,
well, the
is a
706
little newer.
was back in the day when they had real microphones.
Yeah. And I got the original. I don't have the Mark IIG. I got the original 706. And it's a good radio. That's what I've done every one of my activations on. That's what I've used for the last 2 years since I got my tech. 3 years. So, but I just want something newer. If the wife will let me spend my own money.
Spend my own money. Well, the 891 is probably the most popular radio in POTA. And you're definitely not going to go wrong with a 991A because I'll tell you, I absolutely killed it with that radio. And I could still kill it with that radio if I wanted. I every now and then I still do grab the 991A and take it out. And Eddie, thank you very much for the super chat. And he votes for the 891 as well. So, but you're not going to go wrong because they're both really great radios. So
now, if you're going to mount it in your truck, the 891 is the way to go.
If you're going to mount it in your truck, definitely the 891 would be the way to go.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because the 991, I've seen it. It's pretty big radio. I mean, it's not really big, but it's a little too bulky to sit on the seat, or where I have the 706 anyway.
Well, I don't know if I'm too bulky to sit in the seat because I set a DX10 in the seat just fine.
Well, I got an 08 Ram and I have it down in front of the seat where the cup holder is, kind of leaning, and that's a little bit of a small area to have a 991 sitting. So the 891's probably going to win the vote anyway, providing this weekend goes well. I've already been told I'll probably sell out before the first raffle prize drawing. So,
hey, that's the idea to go to Hamfest if you're selling, is to sell out quick.
Yeah.
But then if you're wanting a business, hang around your table and sit there and take orders, because I tell you, I sold Eagle One out up in Dayton 2 years ago. In the first couple hours, I had him sold out, and then he took orders, and he took orders so much that he was on backlog forever, because mostly because you couldn't get supplies in. But
yeah,
so
it won't be a bad thing if I sell out and have to take orders. So, I got the website for that reason.
So what made you decide you were going to start making antennas?
Christmas. Like I was telling you guys before the stream, we were going to take the kids up to Ohio for Christmas a couple of years ago, and I wanted an antenna to be able to get the kids on the SantaNet so they could talk to Santa Claus on the radio, because they thought that was going to be the coolest thing ever. And so I made one. Wow, my first core. I got one of them cheap kits off of Amazon. And it was the worst mistake ever. It did not work. I cut the wire. I could not get it to tune. And I didn't have the VNA at the time. I got the little nano VNA now. I didn't have it back then. So I was pretty much just guessing what I needed to do. And it didn't work. So I, after months and months of studying and research and asking questions, I finally put one together and I threw it up. I hooked it up to the VNA. I was like, dang, okay. This thing's got pretty good SWR across, most of the bands. So I trimmed it and got it down to where it was like 1.3 on 40, 20, 15, and 10. All right, this is cool. I tested it out for a couple weeks, running FT8 and some sideband, hunting some parks on it. And after that, my wife was bugging me. She's like, you need to start your own business, kind of get away from working in the shop with your dad and all that, get away from that. You could do better. That's a whole different story I'm not going to get into. I still work for my dad, but not as much. And I was like, well, I'll see what I can do. I started putting these things together. And I had messaged Dom one day. I was like, I need you to call me. Because I had known he had done a lot of park activations with the PAR feds. He swore by those things. He loved them. I was like, I got an idea. I need you to try this thing out. Test it out for me. Let me send it to you. He's like, all right, send it. He called me back a couple weeks later. He's like, this thing is phenomenal. It works great. He said, I love that wire. It's light. It's easy to roll up. And the thing performed. I think his first activation, we had a bad solar storm that day. And I think he only got maybe 100 contacts that day because the bands were so horrible. The next time he went out, I think he was out for about 3 hours, had like 360 some contacts. He was so impressed. And shout out to Dom for that too, because he is like an employee that doesn't get paid as much as he promotes these things for me. But after he tested it out, I was like, well, I can keep making these. I made a couple more, sold them on eBay, and then slowed down for a little bit because I wanted to see the reactions of the people that got them. And then it's been to the wall ever since. I think I sold last week. I sold number 100. I think I'm up to about 120 now since April that I've sold.
Good deal. And it can only get better as long as you work at it. I know Chris sent one for me to do a review on, which that review is going to hopefully, weather depending. I've used this antenna several times now, but the final shots should be done this week, and I'm going to try to get it out by Friday for Chris because he's going to the Ham Fest on Saturday. But we used it on the Saturday of Huntsville, and I mean we put it through it between all the people, because my cabin was the POTA spot to activate from, and like my gear was pretty much just set up there, and people, even when I was down at the YouTube thing, there were 6-7 people activating on my back porch. And we did a lot of activating, a lot of different bands with it and stuff like that, and it really performed. I also did CW with it the next day. The next morning, I got me a CW activation in with it, and it worked really good until Dan started stealing my coax. But that's a different story. But yeah, I mean the radio really performed well, and I've used it once since I got back here. It's kind of hard right now for me to throw pin feds because I'm depending on rides from people to get to park. So unless I'm going to be there for a little while, I'm throwing up a vertical. But I've done made plans to finish this review either Thursday or Friday morning, and we'll get that one done for him. But it from what I've used it so far, this thing performs really well. So
Awesome.
the one tell us about the one I've got, and then you can tell us about what else you've got too.
See, I sent you the 40 to 10. That's 65 foot of wire. I hand wind every one of the cores by myself. Drill out all the boxes, order all the parts, and I test every transformer box on the Nano VNA before I even attach the wire to it, the element. that one, I believe the toroid in there is rated to handle up to 200 watt sideband. I don't market it at 200 watt sideband because I don't want to underrate it or overrate it, you know. But it seems to work pretty good. All stainless steel hardware, so you never have to worry about any rusting. Everything inside is crimped and then soldered. Soldered. I don't crimp everything inside. That's because I think crimping you risk a chance of something coming loose inside the box if you rattle it around, or just over time the arcing because of the power going through it. You run the risk of arcing, and it just causes problems. So if you solder it, I think it's a little bit stronger. Better connection, and maybe that's that juju that Dan was talking about on the stream the other night. But
and shout out to Kilo Echo 8 Yankee Victor Delta for the pizza slices. Appreciate it.
All right.
Was you trying to figure out who it was, Hayden? I seen you looking around.
No, I was typing the banner and I was going to put it up, and you beat me to it.
Okay. So now you also have another antenna that's basically like that, but a little different. What you got going on with it?
I have, and I don't. The only one I have made, and actually I told Richard I had it boxed up, but I unboxed it for the stream, just so I could show it. And now I'm gonna have to retape the box up. This one's actually bigger because it's running 2 toroids because he wanted a little higher power because, well, sometimes more power is better, But I have an 80 to 10 that's linked. There it is. So that you can actually disconnect the 80 meter element and it only becomes a 40 to 10 for when, 80 meters isn't going to work during the day. Take the 40 to 10 section out. You stay out there at night or go early in the morning. You throw the other half up. You have 80. And with the 80 meter, you actually gain more bands. You actually gain 12, 17. And depending on how my hands work and I wind the toroid, sometimes you can get 6 meters out of it. Sometimes. Not every time. I don't want anybody to get their hopes up on every single one of them. But yeah. sometimes 6 meters will work on that one. I also have the 80 to 10 that's not linked like that. It's just a straight 80 to 10.
Yeah, that's just like people ask me about the Eagle One and stuff, and I'm like, well, the sticker says it's 10 to 80, so that's what I'm going to tell you it is. It's 10 to 80, but yeah. I have tuned 6 and I have tuned 160 and made contacts with them. Sometimes they're working, sometimes they're not. Now Curtis from Pennsylvania, he told me he can get 160 on his every time. So,
oh wow.
But you got to remember, guys, if you're going to a band that's not recommended by the antenna, you're probably compromised. So, you can't blame them for it not working for sure.
I need to get an antenna for 160, but I don't have enough property.
Oh.
So I do, but I have too many kids.
I hear you. So I don't even know if you're making this or not for sale, but you were telling Hayden about a smaller version for lower power. Are you going to be moving them into production for sale, or?
Actually, those are actually already on the website. Okay. I have them marketed as the 80 watt max antenna. The boxes, I don't have a box built, but if I can get my hands up here in this box is only that big.
Nice.
So, and it uses the same wire that I use on the 40 to 10s, just a smaller toroid, and they work really well also. So, actually just had a guy message me. Well, I talked to him at the last Hamfest I was at a couple weeks ago, and he ordered an 80-meter one, and he wanted it all tuned for CW portion of all of the bands. So, and if somebody, if they go to my website and they order it and they want to shoot me a message like, hey, I run all digital, I don't run any sideband, I will tune that antenna for the digital portions of the bands and not sideband. If they say I only run sideband, no CW, no FT8, I tune it for sideband. But if they just order it to order it, I dead center of the band, that's where it stays, and it seems to work perfect that way either way. So
now is that option, like, is that an extra fee for you to do that, or is it the same fee, or how
it's the same. It's the same fee. It doesn't take me but a minute or two to tune an antenna. Especially like I was telling Hayden, the way that I tune these things is so simple. It doesn't take me long at all.
So there you go, guys.
So,
I mean, he will custom make this for you as well. So, and like he said, he custom made one for Richard for more power and stuff like that. So,
I also, not to interrupt you, James, I was telling you guys about Dom and his reviews and him testing it out. What I didn't say was a couple weeks after that, he called me up and he asked me to custom make him a 17-meter end fed, because the 40 to 10s will not tune on 17 without a tuner, and Dom does not use a tuner out in the field. And personally, I don't either. I prefer a resonant antenna. They work better. I have a couple of tuners and I've had problems with them out there, and then it leaves me stuck without it working. So I made him one. Dan, I'll work on that. So I made him one for 17, and he sets that up every time below his 40 to 10. And he runs a 17-meter end fed. And I make those two there. Hayden, you had the website up. Do I have one of those listed on the website too?
You do.
Okay. I wasn't sure if I had it on there yet or not, but I do have that on there also, I guess. So
yeah, that just goes to show you Dom's dedication to his activations as well, because a lot of people go up and they want to hurry up and get set up and get their activation in and stuff like that. Dom is throwing up 2 antennas just so he can do all the bands that he wants to do. And now mind you, Dom is a set in the park, work it to death activator. He's dedicated to that park. He's not really a rover, but he's dedicated. When he goes out there, he's going to work. God only knows how many bands he's going to work. So shout out to him for that.
Dom tries to work every band from 40 to 6 when he's out there. And he likes to call me after almost every one of his activations, and he'll be like, man, we had a bad day today. I'm like, what do you mean we had a bad day? He'll be like, we only made 278 contacts. I'm like, dang, man. My best day out there, I'm making 130, but that's because of time constraints, Wow. Yes, love Dom to death, man, but I think he's just trying to, I don't know. I love it.
So
I like hearing how well these work.
Dan says he needs one that can handle legal limit.
I'm working on that, Dan. I'm working on it.
That would be good to see on the website.
It would. You know how many people I've had ask me about that, but the problem is even like the one I sold to Richard, I don't have anything that'll push more than 100 watts. So I'm going on faith on my research when I sell something that it will do 500 to 1,000. And I'm hoping everybody else's calculations are correct. I don't want to build something and have it, go up in smoke the first time somebody uses it. And with Dan's kind of power, yeah, I know you can smoke test it, Dan.
I was just going to say, I'm sure Dan or Chris would be willing to give those a try for you.
Yeah. I'm working on it though.
I don't have to worry about that legal limit stuff. In my near future, the most that I would have to worry about would be 183 watts would be my limit. Because I'm hoping that is in my future. But that's when I get my travel van that's going to be a camper, and inside it I plan on putting a 101 MP, which will do 200 watt stock, which means I'm going to knock it to 183 because we all know that 83 is the number of watts to use. So
multiples of 83.
Well, multiples of no, I don't know what the multiples are because people say multiples of 3, but if you take 3 and keep going up, I don't think you equal 83 anyway.
No, you've got 33 for QRP or digital.
No. You
got 33 for digital. You've got, what is it, 3 or 13 for QRP.
I don't use
83
digital.
for regular, and then we go by the hundreds after that. 183, 283.
I put my full 100 into FT8. I don't care. That's probably why PP Man wasn't decoding me last night.
I pretty much have three numbers that I use, and it's 83 for sideband, 33 for CW, and when I do QRP, it's typically, believe it or not, it's typically between 1 and 5. But my radio does, I think, 5 and no, my radio will do 6, 5, and 1, I believe. Maybe 2. I don't know. So I don't have a 3 that I can do. I wish it did, but Dan's running 1200 on FT8, but don't tell anyone. Okay, we won't tell us all, Dan.
It's good to know that ZS6 will handle that kind of power, though.
Well, I mean, the Dan's Eagle 1 will handle legal limit as well. So I don't know how much he's put through that because that's his portable antenna, but I know it's been done.
I don't know what kind of toroid they're using there to run that can handle legal limit in Eagle 1 because it's like what, a 9-to-1? Yeah.
0.
No toroids. No toroids. It's the magic antenna.
It's a 40-meter vertical.
If you see one with a 9-to-1 on it, somebody's added that 9-to-1.
Huh. I was looking into getting one of them for a while. I actually found it wasn't the Eagle 1. It was God, who made that?
Was it the Buzzard 2?
No, I'm wanting to think it was God, who made that? It wasn't Eagle 1, but it was literally the same thing. I can't remember the name of it. Somebody had one for like $75 up here close to me.
The only one that I know of that was like a true knockoff of it was like the Buzzard 2, and it was basically the same antenna. I don't know. I haven't used one, so I don't know if it works the same or not, but it was basically the same antenna.
I was looking at one. I wouldn't mind getting one.
Now I know people just build them and stuff like that, but the ones that I've used that people's built does not perform the same. I don't know what the magic of that antenna is. I really don't.
See, that's my thing about this part of the hobby is I like to build stuff and make it work. So naturally, I don't think that I'm going to buy an Eagle 1. I might try to make my own, and if it doesn't work, then I might buy an Eagle 1 because I like to do the stubborn thing first.
Well, I mean, you're using an infed anyway because from what I understand, you're more of that go to the park and sit for a while, activate guy as well.
Well, when I have time, a lot of times, most of my activations have been with ham sticks. I pull in, we don't have trash pickup where I live, so we have to drive to these dump sites, box sites they call them. So on the way to, a couple of the places, there's a pull off where I can pull into a park, and I'll pull in for about 20 minutes and use the ham sticks and do a quick activation. So I would love to be able to sit for a couple hours, but time constraints don't let me do that.
You know, now if I'm going to go and set up for a while in a park, that's what I throw is I throw up an infed. You know, because you're right. Then you don't got to worry about having a tuner or anything like that. My tuner's always with me, but I don't have to worry about it. But you know, if I'm going to be there for just a little bit, or you know, I'm just getting one, you know, getting a quick 100 contacts in, an infed ain't worth the time putting up. I'm just going to throw up the Eagle One and be done.
Yeah.
But now, like myself and Terry, we went and did one in Nashville because we were just pretty much wasting time till my meet and greet in Nashville. And we threw up the infed, and you know, we sat there and we did. Let's see, we did 20, 40, 17. Maybe we did 4 bands a day. I can't remember what else we did, but you know, we just sat there and just had fun. And you know, I'm always an infid guy when I'm setting up something like that. So
yeah, they perform really well. You know, I wasn't sure about them at first because I was, you know, I've always ran a regular dipole or a beam. I wasn't sure how the infed would work until I actually used one.
So what you need for your company is, so you know them tents to, you know, to come in little collapsible things, and you just go and you just throw it out and the tent sets up.
Yeah.
You just need a little pack, and you go out in the field and you just throw it up, and then your infed is set up for you. And then I would use them a whole lot more.
You need that memory. You need that memory wire. When you energize it, it shoots up into the air.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, that would work a whole lot better for me.
Spider-Man thing. You shoot the web up in this tree. Well, shoot the wire up in the tree.
So I've got a question for somebody that doesn't use NFEDs, and either one of you can answer this. What's the ideal setup for an NFED halfway?
You're going to get 20 different answers by 20 different people, but I'll let Chris answer.
Honestly, me, because I've never had the end of the wire on mine up over 40 foot. Because like I said before, I suck with a fishing pole and my arm just won't throw anything up that high for some reason. And I usually have the box. Actually, lately I've had the box only about a foot off the ground with 50 foot of coax. I know James and Dan said that they had it up about 65 feet in Huntsville, and Dom runs his about 65, roughly. And they had fantastic results. I've had great results with it as low as I've had it. In my yard, I've actually had I've had it outperform my ZS6 a few times. I've been able to get stations on it that I couldn't with the ZS6.
Well, I'm going to tell you, we did have it up about 65 feet in Huntsville, but that's probably because Dan set it up. Because I typically run one a whole lot lower than everybody else. You know, I'm good to throw. You know, if I throw mine up 20 feet or so, I'm happy with that, and I've never had an issue. So I'm not going to say that it doesn't do better when it's higher, because it should do better when it's higher. But you know, a lot of these parks and stuff like that, you're going to deal with a lot of extra branches and stuff being in your way and stuff. And you can always find about a 20-foot branch that's got a good clear shot to where you want to run the antenna. And that's the way I typically will run them.
Yeah. I think that go ahead, James.
And from what I was told by somebody who makes a lot of infeds, you know, because they're tuned for the area that they were tuned in, because grounding is different. But people say that as long as your end on this end, as long as you don't drop it like real low, like, you know, under six inches, it don't matter if you have it 12 inches or 2 foot, he said. But I don't know about all that.
Yeah, and I think having the end up higher, seems to turn it more into a vertical than a dipole.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so your takeoff angles are going to be a little different.
Sure.
You know, so
That makes sense.
it all depends. You know, every configuration is different, and I've actually gone out into my yard and I've had it tied in the same spot at the end, and I've walked the box, the transformer box around, and moved it in like 10 and 12-foot increments, and transmitted on FT8 to see where it would move to. You know, and it all depends on your setup. And Dan, that lug on there is for an optional counterpoise. Honestly, I have never run a counterpoise on one of these. I've never even tried one with a counterpoise. I put them on there for people who want to try one. My counterpoise is the coax. I run enough coax on there that it acts like the counterpoise and it works fine.
So what length
I've
of coax
never.
are you using?
I run 50 foot. Now on the 40 to 10, on the 80 to 10, because I do run digital in my house. When I do hook up an 80 to 10, I have to run 100 foot of coax. Otherwise, I get so much RF that it kills my USB ports on my computer. And I don't know if any of you guys have messed with Linux, but when Linux has a USB port problem, it's a nightmare to get it working again.
I bet you that's my problem here at the home shack.
Because if I don't have 100 foot of coax, I can't run any more than 20 watts on FT8.
So it's funny because Dan asked a question that I had for you, because myself and Dan was both wondering what that was for, if it's for counterpoise or what. But I'm with you with the coax as the counterpoise. You know, people ask me all the time, you know, how many counterpoises you run with your Eagle One, blah blah blah. I'm like 50 foot of coax. And then I tell people all the time, people will use that are using like 25 foot, and some people even invest in that for their verticals and stuff. I was like, you need 50 foot of coax. You would not believe the world of difference that will make for you.
Yeah. And I tune every one of them with a 50 foot of coax. When I hang them up, you know, I throw every one of them up in a tree and I tune them with 50 foot of coax for that reason. Because that's what's needed. If you run a 10 foot piece of coax, your SWR is going to change. It's not going to be the same as I had it. So, and I want to make sure it's going to work right when the customer opens it up, pulls it out the box. They can throw it straight in a tree and start transmitting. They don't have to do any tuning to it at all. Like Dom says, I sell the lazy man's antenna. They ain't got to do no work but pay for it.
Yep.
Hey, I like lazy man gear. Lazy man gear is awesome. Okay, so what about weatherproofing? If somebody wanted to stick this antenna up for long term, what kind of weatherproofing does it got? Will it withstand?
It will handle some rain. I had mine set up. It's the same box. Probably about 6 months. Never got a drop of water inside of it. Let me crack the lid on this one. I don't have the toroid and stuff in it yet, but each one of the boxes has the weatherproof rubber gasket sealer in it, so no water is going to get in through the enclosure. Now, around the connectors and all that, I tighten them down so tight that ain't nothing going to get in there. I've started putting a little bit of glue around the connector, the SO239 connector, to keep it to stand still, because I have had a couple of them come unscrewed inside the box. People over tighten them when they put the coax on, try to manhandle it a little bit too much, and then when they go to unscrew it, the nut comes off the back. So I tried to fix that problem. So, but as far as weatherproofing, I haven't had any problems with water getting in them at all. I haven't had any reports of anybody with that problem either. So
I'm just curious because, you know, a lot of people that's watching this stuff are hunters, and they might be thinking, well, whether this thing stand up to, you know. I mean, I'm not telling you guys to go out and leave it up for 2 years without checking on it and stuff, but he said he's out for 6 months, so it's definitely going to hold up to some weather.
Yeah. I do move it around every once in a while, depending on what I have going on in my yard at the time, because like I have a million projects going on here. But I crack the box every once in a while, make sure ain't nothing going on and everything looks the same. There ain't no signs of any water that's been in there and dried. So
cool deal. So what do you see for the future of your antenna company here? What's the plan?
hopefully to keep going. I'm adding on to slowly adding on to the product line. I'm slowly adding new antennas. I'm working on an idea. Another POTA activator gave me a few months back, and I'm trying to figure out how I got to do it. He asked me if I could figure out how to build an antenna that will not only do the 40 through 10, but also include all of the work bands. And I'm trying to figure out how to do that, because getting 30, 17, and 12 to work on a 40 to 10 it's not easy.
Right.
So it's something I've been working on and doing a lot of. And once I figure that out, I'll be in business, because I haven't found an NFED yet that will do all of that.
Yeah, I mean, and 30 meters is like a big deal to for me personally. That's why I do a lot of verticals and stuff like that, because 30 meters is just this magical band that is open so much longer than some of the other bands. And of course you got to do only CW or digital there, but I'm fine doing CW, and I love 30 meters. So
you're talking without an antenna tuner, though, right?
Yeah, without a tuner.
Okay. Actually, I just had an idea, but I'm not going to bring it up now on the stream. Or you're coming to the after chat, right?
Yeah, I can come in there for a few minutes.
All right, I've got an idea that I want to run by you. Maybe you can use it.
All right. I'm also working on a shortened 80 to 10 too. I'm working on making one that's only going to be roughly about 75 feet instead of the full 130. But I've got to figure out how I want to make the coil, the loading coil for it. So it's in the design process now. I know what I need to do. I just need to figure out how I can make it and still be lightweight like the other ones. So that's the whole idea, is I'm trying to keep the wire as light as possible, easy to roll up, and just,
Chris wants to see the 80-watt box again.
Walking the cat. Is that what they call that nowadays?
I didn't know people walk the cats.
I open the door and let mine go. They come back. Where did that box go again? Hang on, let me I got one made. I'm convinced that I'm probably never going to sell this antenna, this specific one, because I had this bright idea, and I've had this thing at 2 Hamfests, and it has not sold yet, and it's still the first one I made. I had this idea of putting a BNC connector on here, and nobody has bought this antenna yet, and it is on my website with the BNC. I also make one with an SO239, but I'm convinced that I will never, ever sell this antenna. I may set it up for myself.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Eddie, for the super chat. And you know what? I'm going to probably disagree with you, because you've probably been to smaller Hamfests trying to sell these things. And when you get to the bigger stuff, a lot of the portable guys love BNC. and you know, I've got several BNCs. Matter of fact, my infed that I run all the time is a BNC. So
Okay.
I don't think you won't. I don't think it totally won't sell. I just think you got to have the right crowd, because a lot of the smaller ham fest, you get more of the I've did ham all my life and this new crap don't work people.
Yeah.
So
Well, Chris, if you use it, you need to just show up to Shelby Saturday instead of going on that beach vacation you was talking about.
yeah, but let's
Spend your
see.
money wisely.
I've got a vertical. I've got a vertical that uses BNC. I've got 2 infeds that use BNC. So yeah,
Maybe I should start putting some BNCs on the bigger boxes too. It's a whole lot easier to put them on than the SO239.
you know, now I'm your Huckleberry. I'm just saying the smaller boxes. Now the bigger boxes, they'll probably stick better with 239s.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to put the BNCs on the smaller boxes than it is the SO239 too, because takes up a whole lot less room in the box.
And you know, here's the thing: if there's an antenna somewhere and it has a BNC on it, and I want to run a 239, you know, there's an adapter for that. I'm going to use it.
Yep. I actually made an adapter cable to be able to test that.
Thank you very much.
Up here somewhere.
Thank you very much, Mike, for the super chat. Appreciate you very much.
I don't know what I did with that adapter cable.
It's crazy because Mike, I got it right here. That yellow sticker it says return to sender, and it's the exact address that you emailed me and stuff too. So I'm gonna resend it one more time, and hopefully it'll go through. If not, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do about getting you your stickers.
Welcome to the stream, Dom.
It's really weird because it's the exact address that's on his QRZ. It's the exact address that he sent me email because it came back, and I'm like, what is going on with this mail person up there? Maybe your mail person don't like you, Mike. Like, he don't need stickers. All right.
You know, I experiment with a lot of 3D printing stuff at the office when I get time, and started making these antennas. I was like, well, you know, if I'm gonna be winding a bunch of these toroids, I need a tool to help wind these things because I wind them by hand. So I 3D printed this little nifty thing I found on Thingiverse to stick the wire through to wind them.
Oh, cool.
I use this thing exactly a half of a time. And I threw it down on my bench, and I will never use it again because I cannot get that wire wound as tight as I can by hand. That was a waste of about 2.5 hours of printing.
Dom, you show up now after this man's talked so good about y'all, Ethan. You missed all your compliments. But I bet your ears were burning though.
They probably were. Dom is eventually going to get the Employee of the Year award. I might have to send him a gift certificate for if McDonald's still sells gift certificates, and buy him a year's worth of coffee.
So the QRP from Yaesu that is no longer available from Yaesu, it does have it does have the regular antenna connection, and it does have a BNC where you can connect to it. One's in the front, one's in the back, and you can switch between them.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And it's funny. I just like I've got connectors that I can change, but I will literally just switch between front and back when I've got the different ones, and that way I ain't got to dig out my connectors. So
that's cool. Have either of you guys used an 897?
Used a what?
The 897.
I wish. That was my dream radio for the longest time.
I was looking at one, and I've been told that the finals you cannot get for them anymore. Just like my 706. That's why I'm questioning.
That could very well be.
I guess it might have to be the 891.
The only thing I liked about the 897 is that it had the battery packs in it.
Yeah.
And it had the tuner that worked with it, and it had a power supply, and it was all, you could bolt it all together. And
yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
But in the day and age of radios like the 991A with all the processing that they do,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even dream of owning an 897.
Yeah. I want something that's got a lot more filtering than the 706, because I have a hard time with a lot of noise on the 706 that I can't get rid of, especially in the truck.
Yep.
So,
All right.
Go ahead, James.
No, you go ahead. I'll let you finish before I say what
I was going to say, I have a truck that spent most of its life in Ohio, and grounding is an issue.
So it's probably ground really good. It's probably got that good rust ground going to it. So when you get grounded that truck, you are grounded.
Yes. I get a lot of ignition noise in the radio.
It's the same with the West Virginia rust. Once you rust your antenna holder into your truck, that thing's grounded for life. But really quick, we're getting ready to wrap up here. But if you were going to the Shelby Ham Fest this weekend, make sure stop by and check this man's antenna out and say hi to him. You know, if nothing else, just go by to say hi and say you seen him on the stream or whatever, and check out his antennas, because I'm telling you, what I've used it so far, it's a very solid antenna. Dom's in the chat, and I'm sure we'll be in the after chat as well. He can tell you because he's used it quite a bit himself, and it's a great antenna. I look forward to using it more myself, and I am going to try to get his review out for him by Friday. As long as we don't get a bunch of hurricane rain from, hopefully Dan like siphoned all the rain, into his basement or something, and
Dan's got a big sponge.
I hope Dan used his big old sponge.
And this will answer Eddie's question. I just posted the website in the chat. Go over there, everybody. Go over there and check it out. It's a great website. Lots of
also, if you go to the website, I'm posting it in the YouTube chat right now. Anybody that is in here, I made a 5% off code for the stream tonight.
There we go. 5% code for watching this stream tonight.
If I can spell right.
Dom says it's pouring there now in North Carolina. So we'll just see if it continues to work its way to me or not. Hopefully it stays away from me. Dom, if you can if you can keep
5% off.
If you can keep it there with you, I'd appreciate it, Dom. But make sure and stay safe down there, Dom.
All right, there you go. There's the code.
That code's good until 9/11.
Till 9/11. There you go.
So it gives you 2 weeks. Come up with your money and spend it with me.
And there you go. And if you want a little bit more info on it, hopefully I'll provide you with a little bit more insight in this review. Like I said, it does the job. Talk to Dom. Talk to Dan. Dan's used it as well. Heck,
Charlie Golf Charlie has one too.
Oh Lord! Well, are you sure it doesn't handle legal limit?
I don't. That one I'm sure will not handle legal limit, but he has one.
Well, he has one if it's not melted, we'll say.
Yeah.
All right, so we're getting ready to close up, guys, right here in a second. But we are going to have a Patreon after chat, as always. If you're interested in finding out what the Patreon shop about after dark and stuff like that, number one, you're brave, and number two, you can go over and get a free trial and at patreon.com. Sign up for the 7-day free trial of the Top Activator and check it out. You'd have to message Dan or Hayden to get you set up with that. And as a matter of fact, I got to get it with Hayden because he needs to get the new two Patreons their rights over there as well.
Yep,
but
we can do that in the after chat here.
All right, Hayden, last thoughts. What you got coming up?
Well, I'm in the market for a new antenna at home, so I'm going to be talking to Chris about it. And that's all I got to say. Going to West Virginia and going to do some hunting. Hopefully have some time to do some activate.
There we go. Chris, I know you got the Hamfest coming up. What else you got coming up?
Well, I got to finish the flooring in these bedrooms that I'm building for the older two. And then get some heat and air installed in there so I can move them in there before wintertime hits down here. And then prepare for the next Hamfest and keep building these things and hopefully get an activation and an 891 in my system here before long.
There we go. And I wish you the best of luck in selling out quickly and enjoying the Hamfest this weekend. For myself, I'm heading over to After Chat right now. Tomorrow, I will be activating surprise. And I will be releasing a video, a very cool video. I enjoyed making this video. It was done at the Huntsville Hamfest, and you may see a few people you know in it. That's all I'm going to say about it. But it's a very cool take of something I wanted to talk about, and I look forward to it coming out. And after that, either tomorrow or Friday I'm going to get out and finish the review filming and stuff like that, and try to get Chris's video released by sometime Friday evening so he can have it for Saturday morning. And this weekend, I don't know how much I'll be activating because I don't know about rides. And other than that, my mom will be in town as well. So I do have some family things I got to do, but I'll be out there every day. And I know 5 people that'll hunt me every day, at least 5. Thank you guys very much for the chat support. And thanks for stopping by tonight. We appreciate y'all. 73.
73.
Have a good night.